Hi, my name is Martin Sherry. I'm a Tier 2 rep for London Underground.
Hi there, I'm Carlos Barros. I'm the Tier 2 Upgrades rep, and we've made another video to explain the role of the NEC and the structure within the RMT because we know there's an election and we want more people to vote. It's your union, get involved. So with that in mind, we've invited the National President, Alex Gordon, here. Alex, thanks very much for coming down.
And the first question would be based around what do you see as your role as the President of the Union and your role as the President in conjunction with the NEC?
So the RMT President is the custodian of the rulebook, they say, and it is. So it's the President's role to chair all of the governing bodies of the Union. So I chair the annual general meeting, the conference of the Union that takes place once a year. I chair every meeting of the National Executive Committee. So that includes anything that's dealing with, the finances of the Union, legal cases, representing members, but it also covers all of our industrial issues. So when we're going for pay claims, when we're balloting members for strike action, every meeting in this union, every decision that we take is taken by lay elected representatives, either at our annual general meeting or in the governing body on the National Executive Committee. And I chair all of those meetings and I try and keep them in line with the Constitution of the Union. That's my role. That
sounds like a tough job.
It depends. There are some very difficult. Situations. The biggest problem that we face is the anti-trade union laws in this country, which over a period of the last 30 years have been put in place by successive governments, Conservative and Labour, and which have sought to stop trade unions from being sovereign bodies that are able to make their own laws, their own rules, and act according to the democratic wishes of their members. So we're constantly constrained by anti-union legislation. So a lot of the work that I do is trying to sort of tiptoe between these laws, which are there to try and tie our members' hands and to keep in line with what the members want, the democratic expression of the members' wishes.
So how does the NEC fit into that? What's the NEC's role in that?
The NEC is a permanent body that meets every week of the year, apart from when the annual general meeting is in session. The annual general meeting we refer to as the supreme governing body. The National Executive Committee, the NEC, we refer to as the governing body of the Union. It is constituted by 16 lay representatives, so ordinary members, ordinary RMT members from every region and nation in Britain. So we have representatives from Scotland, North Wales, South Wales, the Midlands, the South East, London and Anglia, and uniquely, we have a London Transport region. So the London Transport region covers all of our members in the London Transport Regional Council. That's not all of the RMT members who work in London or live in London. That's all of the ones who work for London Underground, TfL, and its various bodies that sit underneath it. So that London Transport Regional Council has a very sort of special, and it's really a unique role in our constitution because it's the direct representative body for everyone who works for LUL and TfL. And they have their representatives sitting in the boardroom at Unity House, taking decisions on everything that the union does, not just decisions on what we decide to do about your pay claim or the night tube or whatever issue it is that affects London transport workers, London Underground workers. Every single decision, whether it affects workers in Scotland, Wales, or anywhere else in England.
Mm-hmm. So, considering all that, what would you think is the best part of being the President?
Well, I think the best part of being the RMT President was earlier this year when we were able to record a vote in favour of industrial action by around about 47,000 rail workers right across the country. That was an absolutely historic moment. I said in the boardroom when the results came in, everyone around the table needs to remember this day that they were here because it will probably be the best day you've ever had as a trade unionist. We pulled off an incredible feat. I mentioned the anti-trade union laws earlier. I'm sure you're both aware of the various hoops and hurdles, as Bob Crow used to say,
yes,
that are put in the way of workers balloting for industrial action. But they are very, very significant. We have to hit a 50% participation rate in every ballot for industrial action, right across the group of workers that we're balloting. And of that 50%, of those workers who are balloted, we have to get 40% voting yes for strike action. Now that's about to get worse, because the new clown circus in Downing Street is proposing to make the thresholds even higher, which is going to make it potentially impossible to have a lawful ballot for industrial action. And that's something, a lot of people are discussing, not just in the RMT, what we do about that. But at the moment, those thresholds are so high that they're designed to make strike ballots very, very, very difficult to achieve. And what we managed to do on the 24th of May this year was to record yes votes for strike action in Network Rail and 15 train operating companies. First time we've ever done it since privatisation, and we were able to join with your members working for London Underground in coordinated strike action in June.
Absolutely.
And that was, I think, you're not going to get any better than that, really.
No, yes, it was a very historical moment within our union.
What it demonstrated was the purpose and the efficacy, if I can use that word, of industrial trade unionism. There was the reason why we've had a fight back by workers this year across a number of different sectors. Postal workers, teachers are now balloting, PCS members in the civil service are balloting, nurses are being balloted for strike action, etc., etc. The reason it happened is because the RMT kicked it off. And the reason we were able to do that was because we have a form of organisation called industrial unionism. So we organise every worker, whatever their skill or job, throughout the industries that we cover. So we don't organise a craft like certain other unions do. We don't organise a general group of workers. Yeah. We organise anyone who works for a transport undertaking, and we organise them together. And what that ballot showed was that form of organisation is effective, it works, it mobilises workers together.
Absolutely. I think our members are seeing that across the country and across the piece. So that's really good, and what an amazing position to be in when it all kicks off.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you the converse question. What's the hardest part of being the president?
Well, it's very tiring, but so is doing shift work, to be honest. I find that a very difficult question to answer, Carlos.
Okay, good. So that's the hardest part, isn't it?
Yeah. All right, good. There are sometimes you have to take decisions, and the fact is, it's foolhardy to think that we always win. We lose ballots sometimes, we lose disputes sometimes. You go through all of those triumphs and tragedies together. So there are upsides and downsides, but it's a great job.
Absolutely. So to focus back on kind of like the original reason we set up these chats. Why is it important for every member, when any member in all of the regions that we work in, when an NEC election comes up, why is it important for members to vote?
So I think the National Executive Committee, it represents what is, in a way, unique about the RMT as a union. There isn't another union that has a full-time lay member executive committee that runs everything in the union every day of the year, apart from when the annual general meeting is taking place. There isn't any other. We're the only one left. There used to be other unions that had a similar arrangement, but they've tended to make their national executive committees either part-time or they've come to different arrangements in decisions that they've taken over the years. We still run our union basically on the model that was set up by railway workers in the 19th century, the end of the 19th century. The executive committee of our predecessor union, the Amalgamated Society of Railway Servants, the executive committee of that union was constituted first in a meeting above a pub in Southwark called the Westminster Arms, and the EC met there, and they then subsequently formed the union out of that executive body. So the executive has always had that kind of key leading role in everything we do. And the reason you need to participate in elections is because if you don't, you won't have a direct relationship with the people who are speaking on your behalf. And it does help to participate in elections. I mean, it doesn't matter what your, how you vote, but it's important that you read the material, you understand what the issues are that the candidates who are standing for election are asking you to engage with. The reason we have elections is so that the members feel it's their union, it's their property. They have ownership of it. And participating in the election is like putting your stamp on your union. So, yeah, it's very difficult in this country to exercise democracy in trade unions. There are lots of barriers put in the way of workers exercising democracy. The biggest one is the requirement under law that we have to have fully postal balloting. We know from bitter experience that in general, if you have a fully postal ballot, participation rates tend to be around about 25%. We have to double that when we do industrial action ballots at least. And we're getting return rates of around about 70, 80% in industrial action ballots. So that's incredible. That's really, really good. But we need to also get those rates up, I think, when it comes to internal democratic elections about the government of the union.
Yes, and I think making this video and your participation is helping in that, and we appreciate your time and your wise words that you've mentioned today.
So there you have it, folks. The national president has explained why it's important to vote. We all think it's really important to vote. So whoever you're voting for, please vote. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Alex.